Hi guys, thanks for coming back for step 5 in my 6 steps to writing a screenplay. The penultimate video in the series, and this time we're talking about dialogue. In my opinion, you cannot save bad plot with good dialogue, but unless you're already a big name in the industry, no one's reading past the first 10 pages of your script. No matter how satisfying and unexpected your Act 2 turn is, if your dialogue wasn't on point up front, then the script's going nowhere.
You sprang from cover with your revolver in hand.
I did.
Loaded and cocked.
Oh, if it ain't loaded and cocked, it don't shoot.
And like his son, Aaron Wharton advanced against an armed man.
Well, he was armed. He had an axe raised.
I believe you testified you backed away from Aaron Wharton.
That's right.
Which direction were you going?
I always go backwards when I'm backing up.
Firstly, let's look at how we approach dialogue. Remember, your characters are self-serving. That is to say, they don't serve you, the writer. They're not there to spit out the information you need to give the audience. They each enter the scene with their own goal, and it's from their perspective that you should write their dialogue, not your own. For each scene, remind yourself of the goal of each character, then let them use their words to push towards their goal. Yes, you need to mediate and guide it to serve the plot, but don't force words into their mouth. It will be obvious. See how in this scene the writer's goal is to say that Major Warren suspects Bob, but instead of just saying that, he does so in a way that feels true to his character.
That sure don't sound like Minnie.
Are you calling me a liar?
Well, not yet, I ain't. Just sounds peculiar, though.
What sounds peculiar?
Well, first off, Minnie never struck me as the sentimental type. But secondly, I can't imagine Sweet Dave lifting his fat ass out of his chair long enough to fetch well water unless Minnie was laying a frying pan upside his head, let alone taking trips to the north side.
Well, that sounds a whole lot like you're calling me a liar, mi negro amigo.
Yeah, it do sound a whole lot like that, don't it? But I still ain't done it yet.
Keep in mind that your character cannot tell the whole truth. They don't know their whole truth. In the same way that their unconscious goal is far truer than their conscious one, rarely do we have the self-reflection to know our own whole truth. And even if we do, we never say it. That doesn't mean your characters lie. It means the true insight comes not from the text, but the subtext. It's not what your characters say that's important, it's what they mean. So a long pause in response to a question doesn't necessarily mean they don't know the answer. Perhaps the true answer is too painful to talk about, or you need time to construct a lie, or indeed your character was analysing the subtext of what exactly was meant by the question. Like how the extra time forces us to really analyse the meaning of, tell me again.
Usual rigmarole, and then I saw you.
Tell me again.
What?
Tell me again.
Weird example. Did you make that jumper yourself? This may not mean what's implied at face value. It may mean that jumper looks awful. Or, I know you're an expert at making clothing and I'm finding a way in to ask you to make something for me. Or, I made my jumper myself and I'd like you to notice that. So use the text along with the context to create subtext that your viewer can have the satisfaction of decoding themselves. A great way to do this practically is to write your conversation out, then break down each line of dialogue to find the internal monologue for each character. What's the subtext behind their action or reaction? And with that established, make sure that's the best, most interesting direction you can take that conversation in at that point. And then make sure that action or line of dialogue is the most interesting and truthful way for that character to communicate that information. See how the writer gives us so much insight into Walt's character in how he handles this conflict.
Stop trying to justify this whole thing and admit you're in danger.
Who are you talking to right now? Who is it you think you see? Do you know how much I make a year? I mean, even if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. Do you know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? A business big enough that it could be listed on the NASDAQ goes belly up. Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
Once you've established the motivation behind your dialogue, consider how it compares to real everyday speech. For the most part, it should emulate normal conversation, and that it follows the same ebb and flow. So mimic how we speak rather than how we write. For example, we don't speak in sentences, we speak in phrases. Don't expect your characters to pause for punctuation, they'll pause for breath, or to think about what to say next. Judd Apatow often cross-shoots and allows ad-lib to get overlapping and genuine feeling conversations.
So how do
I pay rent and shit?
Right.
When I was in high school, I got ran over by a postal truck.
Oh my
God.
God.
It was my foot more than anything. But I got like 14 grand from the British Columbia government. Right. And that really lasted me. I mean, until now. I mean, it's been almost 10 years. I have like $900 left. So that should last me for like, I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but like another 2 years or some shit, I think.
Yeah. So I have something that I really need to tell you. Is kind of why I called you. Here goes. I'm pregnant.
Fuck off.
What?
What?
I'm pregnant?
With emotion?
With a baby. You're the father.
That last part's really important. In the real world, unless we're saying something rehearsed, we only really make a single point in each section of speech. Then it's time for whoever we're talking to react. Speech moves along in that manner. Action, reaction, action, reaction. The reaction may be as simple as a look, or a laugh, or a pause. You can even make longer monologues by having a character react to his own speech, as in make his initial point, then think on it for a second before continuing on in reaction to it. Scarlett Johansson here speaks, then reacts to her own points to deliver a genuine feeling monologue.
And then I got pregnant. And I thought that having a baby could really be ours, but also really mine. And, you know, he was so excited. So it was nice. For a while. Like kids, they belong to themselves. It's like the instant they leave your body, it's just the process of them going away. And I didn't belong to myself. And it was small stuff, stupid stuff, and big stuff. All the furniture in our house, it was his taste. I didn't even know what my taste was anymore because I had never been asked to use it. I didn't even pick our apartment. I just moved into his. And I made noises about wanting to move back to LA, but they came to nothing. And we come here on holidays because he liked my family, but if I suggested we do a year or something, he just put me off. I mean, it would be strange if he turned to me and said, "And what do you want to do today?"
So use this rhythm of speech to emulate real interaction. But always remember that dialogue must be much more than real speech. More economical, more direct, more goal-oriented. A good way to think of it is to consider the subtext of real speech. 9 times out of 10, when you're having a conversation with a friend, you really have no other goal than to enjoy time together. You talk about things you don't really care about, like the weather and work. So your subtext across an entire conversation can simply be, let's take the time to be together and reaffirm that we are friends. But with dialogue, this cannot be the case. You can't include placeholder phrases like, how are you? Fine, thanks, and you? Each line must be specifically oriented to your character's goal. Really, every single line of dialogue or gesture, every action and reaction should use text, subtext, and context to both give us important information about the characters in the scene and move the plot forward. So dialogue needs to work incredibly hard not to be deleted. Make every word fight for its right to be on the page. See how Llewellyn Moss almost speaks in staccato sentences, saying almost nothing, but in his playful nature and physical closeness we get a good sense of their relationship.
What's in the satchel?
It's full of money.
That'll be the day. Where'd you get the pistol?
At the getting place.
Did you buy that gun?
No, I found it.
Willin.
What? Quit your hollering.
What'd you get for that thing?
You don't need to know everything, Carla Jean.
I need to know that.
Keep running that mouth of yours, I'm gonna take you in the back and screw you.
Big talk.
Keep it up.
Fine. I don't want to know. I don't even want to know where you've been all day.
That'll work.
So we know that we must write from each character's point of view, never give our whole truth, but instead write between the lines with subtext. We should break up dialogue into short action-reaction loops to mimic the flow of real conversation, but try and load every word with meaning and significance. But what about the wording itself? How can we make that stand out? Firstly, if you can get away with not using dialogue, then don't. If your point can be made with a look, or a gesture, or an action, or a pause, then do that instead. See how even though the filmmaker takes the dialogue out of this scene, the audience misses nothing. Next, don't give your audience 4, give them 2 plus 2. This simple rule applies not just to dialogue, but to almost every aspect of screenwriting. Don't spoon-feed the audience. Give them the component parts and guidance, but allow them the satisfaction of putting the pieces together themselves. Don't have your characters spit out their backstory as crass exposition. Use little pieces of dialogue mixed with context and environmental storytelling, and not what they say, but the way they say it. Let your audience analyse all of that together and build the exposition themselves. We're given no real information about what's happening in this scene, and the actual content of Jules' dialogue is positively off-topic, so you as an audience delight in trying to piece it together by analysing the power dynamic.
Mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Go right ahead.
That hit the spot. You, flock of seagulls. You know why we're here? Why don't you tell my man Vince here where you got your shit hid at?
It's over there.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
When it comes to content, remember that you're dealing in drama, so steer clear of the ordinary. For each interaction, consider your character's goal and determine how you think they would naturally react under normal circumstances, but then try to think of 3 or 4 alternatives that are less expected. Perhaps even try the exact opposite. Stay true to their overall motivation, but find interesting ways for them to react. Here's an example of an unexpected conversational turn from Better Call Saul.
You know this has to change. If you don't see it, I don't know what to say because we are at a breaking point.
God.
Either we end this now, and enjoy the time we had and go our separate ways, or we're...
What?
Or we're I mean... Or maybe... Maybe we get married.
Or this example of the unexpected from Killing Eve. At this point, desk jockey Eve is pursued by the intimidating assassin Villanelle.
Hi, Eve.
Will she try to escape? Nope.
I'm not here for you.
She's done for now.
Smell me, Eve.
Perhaps not.
What do I smell of to you?
Oh, we're going in this direction now. Nope. Where possible, write in periodic sentences, otherwise known as suspense sentences. This means you structure the sentence so the main point occurs right at the end. The reason is that usually we already know what someone's going to say before they've said it. In real conversation, that's why we interrupt each other all the time. Your audience can't interrupt your characters, so they'll just get bored each spare second at a time. So instead of saying, "I saw the body there on the floor as I went outside for breakfast," you'll hold the audience's attention a little longer if you restructure to, "As I went outside for breakfast, there on the floor, I saw the body." Just by staggering the release of information like that means they have to hang on and process every word in the sentence before it makes sense as a whole. It's just like how you need to make the punchline come right at the very end of a joke. This example from Knives Out has you hanging on Benoit Blanc's every word.
Physical evidence can tell a clear story with a forked tongue.
What?
And as we can see from this morning, everyone can lie. Well, almost everyone.
Another thing you can do is play with character dynamics. This can be a great way to give information about characters without using dialogue at all. This is about how characters behave around each other based on relationships, or power, or status. For example, one character might see the other as their superior, or they might play a parental, nurturing role within a friendship group. Or perhaps you have conflicting dynamics, like a boss who slips into an intellectually inferior role, or a waiter who's treated as royalty. You can even have dynamics shift dramatically within the scene. Just look at how the change in dynamics impacts this scene from 3 Billboards.
Well, he's kind of paying for him, though, ain't he?
I'm paying for him.
This month you are. How about when... I didn't mean to. It was an accident.
No, baby.
It's blood.
I'm gonna go get somebody.
So there we are, some interesting ways to make your dialogue work harder. Write from your character's perspective, work with text, subtext and context. Mimic everyday speech but condense it. Shift character dynamics. Deliver the unexpected. Break dialogue into short action-reaction loops and try to work in suspense sentences. I hope that's been helpful, thank you for watching, and do check back in for the last episode in the series when we look at workshopping scenes. This will be a way to diagnose scenes which feel bland, or even just to make sure that you're getting the absolute most out of scenes you think already work. Please like, subscribe, comment and share. Anything you want to know more about or could be clearer, just let me know. And if you disagree with anything I've said or want to offer another perspective, please say so in the comments. Like you, I'm here to learn. See you on the next one.